Inside all of us is some sprinkling of obsession, like someone who follows the Superman universe to the point of having a red cape for a bed cover, or someone who follows Dick Tracy and is still to this day trying to find a bright yellow trench coat and fedora, or someone who knows everything there is to know about musical theatre and collects posters of them and programs and staunchly refuses to throw away the stubs of the tickets. Sorry, this is all getting a bit too autobiographical at the moment. Let me start again. There comes a time when a game comes along and one must let their inner nerd shine through. That time has never been more apparent for me than when I warp out of the Sol system of my deep space cruiser and play Star Trek Online. When I started the game, I intended to mean business. That meant I kitted out my Betazoid captain and his entire crew in original series uniforms, whilst most other players actually had practical space exploration clothing. I revelled with pride once I earned my first Constitution-class cruiser named the City of Adelaide after my favourite 19th century clipper, because everyone has a favourite 19th century clipper. If you don't, you should get one. I also made sure my chief engineer was human, had a moustache and a brawler approach to every ground mission we did. Even the voice of Leonard Nimoy congratulating you on achievements, or in one instance thanking you directly for saving the Enterprise, appeases a little part at the back of my brain that seriously wishes some bizarre and physical impossible things could be real. So geeks like me would be cool, and those who listen to Justin Bieber and watch Twilight will be wiped out by an unforeseen accident of a phase of its fire. Operated in this instance by me, of course. Anyways, like with most MMORPGs, there's an extraordinary scope of customization you can do. And let's not forget the fact you can play the Klingon Empire as well, which includes my absolute favourite race, the Gorn. The world of STO is set in the beta time stream as established in Star Trek XI. I refuse to call it just Star Trek because there's a lot more of them out there and I have an OCD approach to filing my DVDs. That means the Federation is largely unchanged, except for the continued existence of James T. Kirk has apparently damaged the Federation-Klingon relationship, and yes, there is Borg as well. I suppose this schism between the Federation and Empire establishes the two factions. World of Warcraft would be boring if it was only Horde or Alliance. You need both the conflict of AI and other players, especially for tournaments, both on planetfall and in space. My favourite part of WoW was PvP battles. Of course, I took them about as seriously as my pet lizard would. Nothing like fighting a life or death battle as a hunter with a giant turtle named Bubbles at my side. That's right, I fight the mighty Horde with a turtle. I am that freaking awesome. Even my Alliance allies laugh at me whenever I spawn into an arena. My PvP experience in STO, however, is difficult to explain in words. On a ground mission, I spent more time being respawned than actually standing upright, and in space missions I was blown apart before I could even read the mission objective. This is probably because I am yet to require anything that could rate against a BFG 9000, although to be fair, I constantly stow away the best weapons in favour of retro favours. My lord, that's an oxymoron, isn't it? So I asked for it. The world of STO is vast and constantly changing. If you haven't gathered, there are ground missions as well as ones in space. On most ground missions, you get to choose your landing party. If you're nostalgic, you can have the party consist of your captain and 4 red shirts to give the enemy target practice. One word of advice is to bring a doctor along who can heal you and your landing party when things get arse-end up. If you get knocked out, you can call one of your party to revive you, or you can choose to retry the part you stuffed up. Like space combat, there are reasons to keep moving, stay hidden, and use stealth attacks. Unlike WoW, you can't just stand still as disruptor fire flies unless you want to die a lot. Most of the ground missions have vast expansive areas to explore, or you can just beeline it to the objective. Exploration usually rewards you with resources that you can in turn use for research in a sort of profession side plot I never quite followed. Space missions are also fun. Combat in 3 dimensions has always been a joy for me, and the fire all weapons button is so gosh darn easy. However, there is some element of tactics involved. You have to protect your shields when they are weak, so constantly moving is always a given. Weapons have a firing arc, so trying to keep the enemy in line of fire can be tricky. But if I can do it, a 6-year-old can too. Some advice for space battles is to have a good engineer as your bridge crew. That means one who can heal the ship and or its shields. Recently, whilst in command of a Federation dreadnought cruiser I christened Flibberty-Gibbet, I was faced with an impossible battle. I had 25% hull integrity, no shields, and inadvertently pulled the aggro of 2 enemy battleships determined to write their names on the side of my hull with phaser firing torpedoes. During the battle I got as low as 1%, which is knocking on the door for warp, cork, breach, kaboomy failure. My hand was hovering over the abandoned ship button, but through the power of engineering's insta-heal, I reversed my crappy fortune, won the battle and completed the mission. Of course, as expected, there are missions that take you through a checklist of memorable television or movie moments. I've had a forgettable confrontation with a giant Borg cube, which promptly obliterated me when I destroyed 1 square meter of its armor. I have used the Guardian of Forever to go back in time and save the USS Enterprise from destruction. I have entered the mirror universe and mucked things up a bit. And yes, I have defended the bold and mighty Tribbles from the wrath of rather angry Klingons. Cinematically, the game is beautiful. Even the sector maps have an air of beauty about them as you traverse from sector to sector, selling useless stuff to a Ferengi merchant, then heading to the next solar system you need to gatecrash, or I suppose help. While the Federation picks flowers, saves tribbles, and protects colonies from invaders, the Empire's job is to stomp on flowers, kill tribbles, and take over other colonies. I remain staunchly loyal to the Federation, not because the Empire spreads viruses and overthrows planets, but because we have conflicting ideas on how tribbles should be treated. STO recently won Best New MMO for 2010, as well as a few other gongs, including Best BVP in Massively's annual survey of MMO players. Anything that can beat World of Warcraft as its own game deserves some sort of pat on the back. Live long and prosper.